Morphosis.
I can do whatever I want. Will you report to the police? Try. I'll pay them off. You will be shamed. Your entire family will be shamed. These statements made by a man on a crowded bus is the reason I'm here. For that, I thank him. I was 17 years old. I was traveling by public bus to get to college. A man standing behind me was rubbing up against me. I tried to move, but he held on to me and started touching me in more inappropriate ways. At first, I couldn't move as I was in shock. I tried to resist by knocking him with my elbow, but he didn't stop. I screamed at him, and the bus came to a halt. The man looked shocked, as if he didn't expect me to retaliate. The driver asked me what the problem was, and I told him. I was certain that the least he would do is ask this pervert to get out of that bus. To my shock, I was the one asked to leave for causing chaos in the bus. What confused me more was how all the other people just stood there, doing nothing to help me. I walked out of that bus in utter rage and frustration. As I got out of that bus in tears, he uttered these words in my ear. You can do nothing. I can do whatever I want. Will you report to the police? Try. I'll pay them off. You will be shamed. Your entire family will be shamed. These words I will never forget. These words that changed my perspective about the system as a whole and made me question the position of women in India. It made me realize that I lived in a profoundly patriarchal society. I started to think about male privilege and the indifference of bystanders and the role this plays in allowing injustices done to women. Although this incident was the last straw that broke the camel's back, it was not the first time I had experienced such an injustice. It was not the first time the assailant walked scot-free without being questioned for his actions. Let us rewind. I was 5 years old. My mom and I would go to the markets in the evenings. One day, when we were on our way back home, I heard a shopkeeper scream out obscenities at my mom. I looked around, and all the people who had heard these remarks just walked away, minding their own business. I looked at my mom, hoping at least she would retaliate. Instead, she looked at me and said, "Don't look at him. Keep walking." And I did. The next day, the same shopkeeper yelled out even louder than the previous day. My mom walked faster. She looked to the side to hold my hand. But I wasn't there. She looked back, and there I was, holding my shoe in my hand. I was threatening this guy. I was trying to protect my mom. But my mom looked shocked. She grabbed my arm and walked me home. She was very upset that I had reacted. That day, my mom told me, "You are a girl. You will be in danger if you react. Keep quiet the next time this happens, okay?" And I did. Following this day, there were many incidents that I witnessed and experienced that provoked me to speak up, to question injustices done to women. But I also knew from my experience that these injustices were tolerated. Fast forward to when I was 12 years old. I was traveling by train with my family. Everyone was fast asleep and the lights were turned off. I felt a hand riding up my shirt. I woke up with a start. I saw a man disappear into the darkness. My eyes quickly moved to a woman sitting a few seats away, awake, reading her book. She saw what had happened. She looked at me with no expression on her dimly lit face. And then she went back to reading her book like nothing had happened. I was too shocked to react. I tried to fall back asleep, but I couldn't. This was not the first time a man had decided to touch me inappropriately. This was not the first time I felt completely numb. But what my mom said when I was 5 years old came back to me. "You are a girl. You will be in danger if you react. Keep quiet the next time this happens, okay?" The next day, I told a friend what had happened on the train. She looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, that's happened to me too. It's not like you can do anything about it, right?" And I nodded hesitantly. But I knew that there is something we can do. Back to that bus. As I stormed out of that bus in tears, I thought about how the entire system on every level accepted, tolerated, and even supported these crimes. This is when I decided that I would work towards improving the status of women in India, however impossible that might sound. I continued to experience such injustices and heard of worse. Numerous cases of rape, domestic violence, and dowry deaths would hit headlines every day, despite underreporting of such crimes. I shuddered to think how many of these crimes are actually taking place around the country, and about powerless victims who had little or no support. I wanted to help these women who didn't have a voice. These women who were silenced not just by the assailant, but also by the world around them. Growing up in a patriarchal society invoked considerable introspection, not just about my experiences, but also of the women around me. I had a natural barometer for injustices done to women. Although in a way I was coerced to confine, I knew it was wrong. The need to experience a different culture where women are treated with respect and as equals grew in me. Eventually, I married a man who understood issues women face. He motivated me to follow my path, to chase my dream. The dream to help women who didn't have a voice. 4 years ago, my husband's son and I moved to New Zealand, and I started my PhD around Indian migrant women and domestic violence. I looked around and I felt women are treated as equals here. I finally felt safe. Until one day, when I was sitting in a cafe, and I heard some men talking about me, passing lewd remarks about my appearance. This instantly took me back to the times this had happened in India. It took me back to when I was 17 years old on that bus. It took me back to when I was a frightened 12-year-old on that train. It took me back to when I was 5 years old, walking with my mom. It made me think that although I had settled into a society where I felt safer to go out and express myself and to have freedoms not common in my home country, I still experienced different manifestations of male entitlement and patriarchy. I felt I hadn't escaped anything. Although I was not groped in a public bus or on a train, sexual remarks about my appearance were screamed out at me in public. This is when I came to the conclusion that injustices done to women are universal. The ways in which they present themselves might differ, but they are everywhere, in India and in New Zealand. At the cafe, I felt numb again. I couldn't react again. But for the first time, I regretted not doing anything. I realized that in order to help myself, that in order to help women around the world who experience injustices, I should be helping myself first. I should be helping that 17-year-old, that 12-year-old, and that 5-year-old girl who was silenced. In days to follow, I asked myself repeatedly what I would have done differently. The answer was, I would have stood up for myself and for all women. A few days later, I saw one of the guys from the cafe walking on the street. I was presented with an opportunity to confront him. And I did. I walked up to him and I said, I heard the things you guys said about me at the cafe, and I want you to know that is not cool. That is not how you treat women. And I walked away. I felt immensely proud of myself. I felt a surge of strength and confidence, like I did the right thing, like I did something to make the society we live in a better place. I believe that these seemingly small acts of oppression, like making a sexist joke or passing lewd remarks, contributes to the bigger picture of crimes like domestic violence, rape, and even homicides. My journey as a researcher has opened my eyes to the fact that domestic violence is rife, not only among Indian migrants, but also among New Zealanders. That women here in New Zealand also face injustices. And that other people who witness these injustices here in New Zealand also do nothing. Today, violence and oppression affects women in all walks of life. I am on a mission. I want to help build a world where daughters and granddaughters can walk on the road safely. It's a world where we don't have to pay the cost for violence. It's a world where everyone feels equally empowered to perform to their fullest potential. It's a world where injustices will have seen a sharp decline. It's a world which will be happier and more secure. Is this the kind of society we want to be a part of? By standing up to an injustice, you are doing two things. You are contributing towards the immediate safety of the woman, and you're providing an opportunity for the other witnesses to think about these injustices in a different light. You are motivating them to speak up and take action as well. The natural tendency is to assume that there are good and bad actions. By doing nothing, people might think they're doing neither good nor bad. It's neutral. This is simply not true. By doing nothing, you are sending a clear message that this injustice is okay with you, that this is the world you want to live in. So the question I want to leave you with is, the next time you witness an injustice being done, who do you want to be?